Imagine waking up one day and being unable to recognize the faces of your family, friends, or even yourself in a mirror. What if every face looked unfamiliar, no matter how many times you had seen it before? This is the reality for people with a rare condition called face blindness, or prosopagnosia. It's a mysterious neurological disorder that prevents the brain from recognizing faces, even of loved ones. But how does it happen? Can it be cured? And what is life like for those who have it? Stay with me as we dive deep into this strange condition, its causes, symptoms, and the challenges people face every day. Face blindness, or prosopagnosia, comes from the Greek words prosopon, meaning face, and agnosia, meaning lack of knowledge. It is a condition that affects a person's ability to recognize faces, but surprisingly, their vision is completely normal. They can see eyes, a nose, and a mouth, but their brain cannot put these features together to recognize a person. It's like trying to remember someone's face, but it always feels like a stranger's. People with severe face blindness can't even recognize themselves in a mirror or in photographs. Some have trouble following characters in movies because they can't remember who is who. Others may not recognize their friends at school, their boss at work, or even their own family members unless they use clues like voice, hairstyle, or clothing. For people without face blindness, it can be hard to imagine what it's like to struggle with recognizing faces. But here's an example that might help you understand. Think about how you see animals. For example, dogs, cats, or cows. If you're not an expert, most animals of the same species look almost identical to you. You might be able to tell them apart by their size, fur color, or markings, but their actual facial features all look the same. Now imagine if that happened with humans, where every face looked similar, and you had to rely on small details like hairstyles, voices, or clothing to tell people apart. That's exactly what people with face blindness experience every day. Even if they've seen a person multiple times, their brain doesn't register the unique facial structure, making it almost impossible to recognize them. This can be confusing, frustrating, and even scary at times. Now, imagine walking into a room full of people you know, but every single face looks like a stranger's. That's the daily reality for those with prosopagnosia. There are two main types of face blindness: congenital prosopagnosia and acquired prosopagnosia. Congenital prosopagnosia means a person is born with face blindness. This is usually due to differences in brain development. Scientists believe this type runs in families and can be genetic. People with this condition have never been able to recognize faces properly since childhood, but many don't realize they have a disorder until they grow up. Acquired prosopagnosia, on the other hand, happens when there is damage to a part of the brain called the fusiform gyrus, which is responsible for processing faces. This damage can be caused by a stroke, head injury, brain tumor, or neurodegenerative diseases, like Alzheimer's. People who develop prosopagnosia later in life often describe it as a terrifying experience. Imagine suddenly being unable to recognize the faces of your loved ones, your parents, spouse, or children. Everything else remains normal, but faces become a mystery. To understand face blindness, we need to understand how the brain normally recognizes faces. When you look at a face, your brain quickly scans its shape, eyes, nose, mouth, and expressions. This happens in the fusiform face area, a specialized region in the brain responsible for facial recognition. In most people, this process happens automatically. Within seconds, the brain compares the face to a database of stored faces and recognizes if it belongs to a friend, a celebrity, or someone familiar. But in people with prosopagnosia, this system is broken. Their brain does not process faces as a whole, but instead sees them as a collection of separate features, like two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, without forming a complete picture. This makes it nearly impossible to remember or recognize people based on their faces. The effects of prosopagnosia go far beyond just forgetting faces. It can impact social life, work, relationships, and mental health. People with face blindness often feel socially isolated because they struggle to recognize their friends, colleagues, and even family members. They might walk past a close friend without saying hello, making them seem rude or uninterested. In workplaces, they may struggle to remember their boss or coworkers, leading to awkward interactions and confusion. Dating and relationships can be especially challenging. Some people with face blindness struggle to recognize their partners, causing emotional distress and misunderstandings. Imagine going on a date and not being able to recognize the person you were with just a few minutes ago. This can lead to embarrassment, anxiety, and even fear of social interactions. Movies and TV shows become difficult to follow because characters all look like strangers. Some people even avoid watching films altogether because they cannot keep track of who is who. For children, face blindness can lead to bullying and social difficulties. They may fail to recognize their classmates or teachers, leading to problems in school. Teachers might think they are not paying attention, while classmates might think they are being ignored. Some people with face blindness also experience topographical agnosia, or difficulty recognizing places and locations. This means they can easily get lost, even in familiar environments like their own neighborhood or workplace. Since face blindness has no cure, people with the condition develop alternative strategies to recognize others. Many use voice recognition, remembering how someone speaks rather than how they look. Others pay attention to hairstyles, clothing, walking styles, or unique features like moles, glasses, or facial hair. Some even memorize scent or body posture as a way to distinguish people. Technology has also become a helpful tool. Some people rely on smartphones and social media to keep track of faces and names. AI facial recognition apps can even help them identify people they struggle to remember. In social situations, some people with face blindness ask friends to introduce themselves every time they meet. This prevents awkward situations where they don't recognize someone they've already met multiple times. Believe it or not, some well-known celebrities and scientists have struggled with face blindness. Famous actor Brad Pitt has openly talked about his difficulties recognizing people, even those he has met multiple times. He once mentioned that people think he is arrogant or rude, but in reality, he simply cannot remember their faces. Renowned neurologist Dr. Oliver Sacks, who studied brain disorders, also had prosopagnosia. Despite being a scientist, he struggled to recognize his own reflection in the mirror. Even Charles Darwin, the famous scientist who developed the theory of evolution, was suspected to have had prosopagnosia. He often wrote about his inability to remember faces and how it affected his social life. Currently, there is no cure for prosopagnosia. Since it is a problem with how the brain processes faces, there is no medication or surgery that can fix it. However, researchers are working on brain training exercises to help people recognize faces better. Some studies suggest that virtual reality and AI-based programs might help the brain develop new ways to recognize people. While there is no perfect solution yet, people with prosopagnosia can live normal lives by using their coping strategies. They may not recognize faces, but they can still form deep relationships, have successful careers, and lead fulfilling lives. Face blindness is a rare but fascinating disorder that affects millions of people worldwide. It can make everyday life challenging, but with the right strategies, people can still function and adapt. If you ever meet someone who struggles to recognize faces, don't take it personally. It might be prosopagnosia, If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content on the human brain and psychology. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.